Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Events Center for the lightweight championship showdown between Juan Manuel Marquez and Juan Diaz. The two met in last year's Fight of the Year, a contest won by Marquez in sensational fashion. And after each unsuccessfully tested the waters north of 135 pounds, they are back down at lightweight, ready to battle for Marquez's legitimate championship of the division. But before we get to our main event, we have a three-fight undercard. First up, a lightweight matchup between comebacking Jorge Linares and Rocky Juarez. Then Robert Guerrero moves up to the 140-pound division to face 39-year-old Cuban veteran Joel Casamayor. And just before our main event, undefeated 23-year-old prodigy from Brooklyn, New York, Danny Jacobs meets Dmitry Pirog of Russia, making his U.S. debut for a middleweight title absurdly vacated by the governing body. Marquez versus Diaz is being brought to you by Mandalay Bay. The time is now to escape to Mandalay Bay. Go to mandalaybay.com to book today. Cerveza Tecate, con carácter. AT&T Viva Mexico Play. Make calls with your wireless phone to Mexico or from Mexico as if they were local calls. And by HBO Pay-Per-View, the best in pay-per-view entertainment, brought to you by HBO. It's a hot night in Las Vegas, much to be expected on July 31, but the crowd is filled up, or the town, I should say, is filled up and lively as usual, and now we welcome you into the Mandalay Bay Events Center live at ringside for this excellent pay-per-view card, which features, first of all, a rematch in the main event of last year's Fight of the Year, and a chance for Juan Manuel Marquez, if he can win the fight, to thoroughly reestablish his credentials as the legitimate lightweight champion of the world, but also three superior undercard fights, much better than undercard fights you've recently experienced on big-time pay-per-view shows, or at least that's the assertion of the promoter, which says that it spent extra money to make sure that you would be getting your money's worth in these first three fights. So we're going to start it off with a comeback fight of sorts for Jorge Linares, who's still short of 25 years old, but has already suffered a dramatic fall in the sport. 3 years ago, Linares appeared here in Las Vegas and in the United States for the very first time. At that time, he was fighting in his 24th pro fight. He was unbeaten, and he knocked out Oscar Larios in the 10th round. There's an old saying in our sport, don't fall in love with a fighter. I fell in love with Jorge Linares that night, and looking back and listening to the things I said about him 3 years ago, this week it was embarrassing. That night, based on what I was saying, he might as well have been a young Sugar Ray Robinson. So take a look at what happened last year in Japan, after 2 years of relative inactivity while his promotional contract was being renegotiated. Linares entered the ring against the relatively nondescript Juan Carlos Salgado of Mexico City, went down on the first left hook that touched his skin, was basically done for at that point, and had suffered not only the first loss of his career, but an embarrassing first-round knockout loss. That is the specter that Linares will be trying to erase tonight as he goes into the ring against someone you probably know well if you're a boxing fan, the veteran Rocky Juarez. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape now for Linares versus Juarez. Juarez is 30 years old, almost 6 years older than Linares, but there's a 3-inch height advantage for the Venezuelan fighter. Arm length advantage of 1 inch measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in well short of the 135-pound limit, signaling that perhaps Linares could make 130 again if at some point it were necessary for a big fight. And tonight, Linares enters at 143, the taller of the two fighters, Juarez at 140. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, where tonight, Golden Boy Promotions with Marquez Promotions are proud to present an evening of world-class professional boxing for your entertainment live on HBO Pay-Per-View. Sponsored by Tecate, Cerveza con Carácter, AT&T Viva Mexico Plan. Make calls with your wireless phone to Mexico or from Mexico as if they were local calls. All bouts sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairwoman Pat Lundville, Executive Director Keith Kaiser, Commissioners Francisco Avilar, Skip Avancino, Bill Brady, and TJ Day. Physicians here at ringside tonight, Dr. James Game, Dr. Stephen Brown, Dr. Jay Coates, and Dr. Vicky Mazzarana. Timekeepers at the bell and counting for the knockdown seconds, James Cavan and Ernie Howdegee. For this first bout, the 3 judges assigned to ringside will be Al Lefkowitz, Dave Moretti, and Ricardo Ocasio. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Russell Mora. And tonight's card of boxing is dedicated to the memory of Vic Siegel. On the line at this time, the vacant WBA Fedelatin title, 10 rounds of boxing in the lightweight division. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with gold, official weight 132 pounds. This 2000 Olympic silver medalist now has a professional record consisting of 28 victories, including 20 knockouts, with 6 defeats and 1 draw. From Northside, Houston, Texas, Ricardo Rocky Juarez. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with purple, officially weighing 132 1/2 pounds. His professional record, 28 victories, also including 18 knockouts with only 1 defeat. Originally from Venezuela, but now training and fighting out of Tokyo, Japan, former 2-time world champion Jorge El Niño de Oro Linares.
Okay, line here is good, line here is good. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to remind you that I expect a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times, obey my commands at all times. Acuérdense, quiero una pelea limpia. Dios los bendiga, toquen guantes. God bless, touch up.
For Juarez, a chance to come through for the first time after 5 unsuccessful tries to win big fights of this nature. For Linares, a chance to get back onto the board as a quality prospect for big things in the sport. Kind of a win-or-go-home fight. And Emmanuel, I talked about my embarrassment at having anointed Linares the way I did 3 years ago. Now you're going to let me off the hook a little bit, I hope, by saying that I wasn't alone.
Well, you wasn't alone, but it happens in any sport. Well, at least it was like a one-punch situation. It wasn't where you had built him up to be a good fighter and a guy totally outclassed him. But just getting knocked out by one punch is not a major thing when you look at the overall picture. A lot of the fighters, it's happened to.
It's happened to Amir Khan, for instance, in exactly the same position that Linares found himself in. Khan has already managed to come back and develop some high-quality wins, including his beatdown of Paulie Malignaggi in New York a couple of months ago. But nobody's completely forgotten the loss to Prescott on behalf of Khan, just like nobody will completely forget what happened to Linares unless he puts together several years of high-quality work.
Well, if you put together a good string of victories, time will erase it. We look at Lennox Lewis, the one-punch knockout loss that he had, to Oliver McCall, also to Hasim Rockman. But in due time, people forgot those fights because he had good victories after that.
And he avenged both of those losses as well. Remains to be seen if Linares will ever face Juan Carlos Salgado again. Or if Khan will ever fight Prescott again, for that matter, though that's regarded as at least a possibility.
Yeah, but Prescott has been down so much since then, I don't think it's really a fight that was just for personal reasons that the public would demand.
Rocky Juarez has a new haircut here. And always, Rocky says he has a new plan, a new attitude, a new chance to do better than he's done before. He's gone back to his previous trainer from his early amateur days, Ray Ontiveros, after several years of working with Ronnie Shields.
Ray was very good with him. He knew him in the amateurs and was coaching with him. And so far, Rocky's fighting a very good fight. I think he's applying pressure. He hasn't got that perfect position that he looks for, and that's how he loses his fights. But at least he's applying a lot of pressure, trying to get in position.
Rocky is a notoriously slow starter, trying to start faster here tonight. And this is exactly the profile we expected. Rocky Juarez stalking and looking to land something big. Linares moving, looking to counterpunch and box.
And Linares is boxing and fighting very good, but I'm really impressed with Rocky Juarez at this stage. He's jabbing his way in, and it looked like he's trying to set up the left hook behind the left jab.
Straight right hand that time by Linares. as Rocky began to come in. Juarez has been effective early on trading jabs with the longer Linares. Juarez got in a couple of body shots as they grappled on the ropes to finish out the round.
Lo que hicieron, lo que están haciendo, quieren pelearte igual que como Juarez peleó corriendo. Mientras que está corriendo, ya está bien, that's good. As long as he moves around, he's good. But you gotta put the pressure on. When he's moving both ways, You go down the middle, straight pipe, but you gotta go with a 3. 1, 2, 3. He's doing this right here, but he can't do nothing when he's doing this. So he goes right down the middle with a pipe. You know how that works. 1, 2, 3 straight there. He's moving back.
How you feeling? You feeling good? Everything good? Very well. It's slow, huh? Yeah. Breathe deep now. You're the bullfighter. You're the killer.
In case you're wondering why a Venezuelan fighter has a Japanese trainer, Jorge Linares was snapped up out of Venezuela early in his career by the superstar promoter in Japan, Mr. Honda. Brought him to Tokyo, and Linares fought 18 of his first 23 professional fights in Japan. It was in Japan that he got knocked out by Salgado last year. And you heard Rayon Taveros in Juarez's corner begin with about 15 seconds of Spanish and then follow it up with a long section of English. I'm not sure what it means that Ontiveros used both languages, Spanish and English, in communicating with Rocky. He's been listening to Ronnie Shields in English for as long as we can remember.
But I tell you what, Rocky can understand both. Being a Mexican-American, so maybe later on Ray thought about that as he was speaking in Spanish. Said, "What am I saying on this for?" He can understand English just as well.
Or knowing that he's wearing our microphone,
yes, better for
perhaps
the
he wanted to
right.
say something that only those who speak Spanish could understand.
Yeah, stop. Now get him. Don't push his head down.
Both fighters seem to be very secure in understanding their roles in the fight. I mean, certainly Rocky isn't hesitant about being the stalker and trying to pressure Linares. And Linares, who has had some moments of discomfort in recent years, looks comfortable here trying to back up and counterpunch against Juarez.
Both fighters very similar in style. Both have very good upper body movement, tight defense, very accurate pinpoint punches.
There's some moments of real intensity from Linares there. Solid left hook to the body.
Yeah, it looked like he got Juarez's attention there with that left hook to the body. Linares is really mixing up his attack. He's shot left hook to the outside, right hand to the outside, left uppercut between the gloves. See there, making it very difficult for Juarez to predict which way and where the punch is coming from.
And creating space, limiting Juarez's punch output. In the last 30 seconds, Linares has landed 6 or 7 solid blows. Rocky's only thrown twice.
Yeah, he's moving in, but he can't get off the punches because he's really trying to figure out what Linares is going to do.
Linares' jab seems to be getting sharper from minute to minute.
And you know, Juarez has a tendency to swell up around his eyes, and as the fight progresses, this could be a big factor in this fight, particularly those jabs and the left uppercuts. And uppercuts are glazing punches that often swell up the eyes because of the angle that they land.
Time!
Rocky, you're going forward, but you're not throwing punches. You're going in front of him, but you're not throwing the combination that when you throw, you're going with one shot. He caught you with the right hand. You know he caught you, so you're dropping your left hand. When you go back, he can't punch. You let him set up and throw the right hand. You need to get him going, but you need to throw more than one punch. You just can't rely on one jab and one right hand. You know, it's a combination of 3s and 4s. Do you understand? When you get inside.
Right here you see Juarez coming in, and you see Linares through a left uppercut. Even though Juarez had his hands up, he found a gap between the center. And this is the type of combination that's causing problems to Juarez. And now you see him throw a right hand to the rib. So now as Juarez is coming in, he don't know what angle and where the punch is going to come from.
CompuBox numbers through 2 rounds. They see Linares landing 46 out of 99. That's an extremely high percentage. Juarez, 15 out of 70. Linares with a 24-5 advantage in landed punches in the second round.
And what makes that percentage even more amazing is the fact that Juarez has his hands up. He's never dropped his hand, and he has a pretty good defense. And it's very difficult to find a way to get a punch through normally when a guy's fighting that way.
Harold, how did you score it in the first 2 rounds?
Okay, Jim. 20-18, 2 rounds to nothing. Jorge Linares. You know, Jim, he's landing the cleaner, hard-up shots, and that's all he was doing. Even though he's backing up, he's really landed the good power shots. Rocky Juarez moving in. He's the aggressor. But one thing I noticed about Linares, look at this. He opens the glove when Juarez gets close, and he pushes him off. And that's really an illegal move. You can't do that. You're not even supposed to measure the guy, let alone open the glove and push him off. Linares real slick at it. Russell Moore hasn't seen it yet. 2-0, Linares.
Interestingly, you made the same point about Linares 3 years ago, Harold, and you pointed out that Oscar De La Hoya got away with that move very frequently in his early career. And of course, Linares, because of his style, is often compared to Oscar De La Hoya. Even in Venezuela, has been nicknamed El Niño de Oro. People should be careful about borrowing that nickname. Again, the right-hand body shot by Linares, and he goes back to the jab. I thought Rayon Taveras gave Rocky exactly the right advice, Emmanuel, when he said, you're not throwing combinations.
It's not that easy because every time he gets in position, he has automatically his mind has to go into a defensive mode.
Let him go. Stop! Watch it. Don't push him down, and don't give him a straight arm. Let's go.
Well, the possible silver lining here for Rocky is that by far his best punch, when he gets going, is that left hook. And it was a left hook that put Linares down in Tokyo last year. So clearly, Rocky is hoping to land another big one here tonight.
Even though I have Rocky trailing in the scoring right now, I think he's fighting a fantastic fight.
In his last outing, Juarez probably suffered his most discouraging result yet, as he fought fringe contender Jason Litzau and wound up losing a technical draw because Litzau was badly cut under his left eye by what the officials ruled had been a headbutt. Juarez says he thinks it was a punch, but the fact was Rocky was trailing on the scorecards at that point in the fight and therefore wound up with a 7th round technical loss. Given the quality of the other fighters to have beaten him, probably this was the biggest disappointment yet.
Well, I think he's fought for, this will make his 5th fight, I think, for a world title fight. Sixth, and it has never been successful.
There's no title here, but the next title fight will be his 6th chance at a world title. And never succeeded.
Yeah, and this fight right here is a very important fight to get in that position.
Let go. Let go. Time!
So 3 rounds in the books between Linares and Juarez just a few moments ago. Juan Diaz arrived in the arena. 26 years old, but already some ringsiders regard him as shop-worn and past his prime. To some degree, that's a function of the all-out, non-stop fighting style which carried him to prominence. At the moment when Diaz, a year or 2 ago, had become the main man, or visibly the main man in the lightweight division, not necessarily the legit champion, but the one who was getting all the heat. At that moment, he had risen because of energy and will and commitment. But he's never learned the kind of craft, unfortunately, that Juan Manuel Marquez has visibly demonstrated throughout his career. So the question is, can Juan box better tonight than ever before in his career? That's what it would take to beat Juan Manuel Marquez. CompuBox numbers on jabs through the 3rd round. Linares 42 out of 110, 38%, an extremely high connect percentage on the jab. Juarez 12 out of 60. Not bad for Rocky.
Both guys are very accurate punches, very crisp punches. And, you know, as the fight goes on, it's going to be interesting to see if either one of these guys starts looping their punches or become more sloppy with their punches, because the punches are very sharp and accurate at this stage.
Now Juarez gets a momentary chance with Linares trapped in his back against the ropes, but Linares steps away to the left and begins countering again.
Linares is a very cagey fighter, and you see he executes one of the most beautiful combinations in boxing. He throw a left hook to the outside of the body and to make Juarez move his elbow, and then he bring his left uppercut through the center, the same hand.
Combination favored by Mike Tyson among other great uppercutters. Juan Manuel Marquez can throw that combination.
Yes, he can.
Good uppercut by Linares.
I am so impressed with this man. He is such a beautiful boxer. He's doing everything. He's boxing with his jab. He's moving, but not moving too fast.
Don't fall in love with a fighter.
Juarez, but Juarez is not pushing him faster than he wants to.
This is the trouble. Linares, when he's on, is mesmerizing because he has such sophisticated skill.
Beautiful movement. Very, very, very impressive.
Every once in a while, Emmanuel, I'll still run into an American fight fan who'll say, how could you score such and such a round for a guy who's moving backward all the time? Shouldn't the scores favor the guy who's going forward? And of course, if you say that, you're misunderstanding fundamentally what it is that a counterpuncher tries to do.
Yeah, it's actually landing clean blows. You look at some of your greatest boxers in history. You take away Mike Tyson for the most part. You look at Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, a lot of those fighters. Ray Robinson.
We're going backward most of the time.
Yeah, but they landed clean punches.
Here's Juarez.
Just like the left uppercut.
Linares against the ropes.
Is landing that now.
And Linares shows some fight of his own against the ropes with those uppercuts. And Rocky stays in there.
On his head, puts him on his head. Very nice. Very nice. You're working very nice.
No trabajas con tanto muy bien, por ejemplo.
Think about those shots we took in practice, right? Those overhand, the body shot, uppercuts. Put inside, that's what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's do it. Go out there and do it. Let's go do it, Rob. Come on, Rob.
CompuBox numbers through the first 4 rounds show Jorge Linares landing more than 20 punches per round. That's a lot of leather. Both fighters' faces have held up so far, but if they keep landing the way they are, sooner or later somebody's going to cut.
Well, that last exchange reminded me a lot of one of the exchanges between Diaz and Marquez, where Diaz was physically pushing Marquez into the ropes, and it looks like he was having the better of it, but the clean punches, particularly up between the center, was coming from Linares in this case, much like Marquez did in the fight with Diaz the last time.
Very much. Double jab, Linares moves to his left. Juarez has a chance to try to trap him in the corner, but doesn't step up quickly enough. Now he's got him.
Let's see, every time he gets there, that little left uppercut comes between, and then he goes right back to moving and pushing the jab out.
One uppercut, step away.
Just when he can feel that Juarez is going to go into his little bend down, he'll shoot the left uppercut. He seems to have a good rhythm and timing of it. Juarez has got to find some way to get close enough to shoot this left hook. And he still has one of the best left hooks in boxing. And that's what he's going to have to depend on in this fight. Right now he's gradually falling behind as the fight moves on.
When all is said and done, and unless he can turn this one around, we may look back and say that Rocky Juarez's most dramatic and fulfilling night ever on HBO in terms of performance was the night that he lost to Juan Manuel Marquez in his first fight against Marquez in Staples Center in Los Angeles, a fight that was originally ruled a draw. Scorecards were later changed to show a Barrera victory. A lot of people thought that Juarez had reeled the great Barrera in down the stretch with a stirring display of left hooks. And then a lot of people thought he could win the rematch against Barrera, and he barely showed up.
And it's amazing, as we're speaking, he's fighting maybe the best that he's fought tonight in this fight, just the last few seconds. He's come moving in, it's seemingly getting a little bit of a range on his punches now for the first time. And I would say this, even Linares, I think, is winning the fight, and I'm very impressed.
And he just asserted himself again with those two punches.
Rocky is putting a lot of pressure and fighting a fantastic fight himself.
But Linares is still landing the more accurate and sharper blows. And somewhat effortlessly so. There's a good jab by Juarez.
That left uppercut again. He didn't see it.
4, 5.
First knockdown of the fight.
7.
I mentioned coming into the round that Juarez was eating a lot of leather.
Time.
And Rocky is still stiff-legged, walking as though he may have hurt a knee during the fall.
Got caught. How do you feel? Okay, you got caught.
There's water in my head.
Remember what I said, you going in there not throwing punches. If you go in there throwing punches, you can do it.
I'm good. No problem.
If you go in there and throw punches, you can beat this guy. But no, you going in there and putting your head up. You can't be doing that right. When you get him in there in the rope, you're not throwing.
Here we see Juarez coming in, and just as I said earlier, Linares has a sense of a feeling of his body rhythm, just when to shoot the left uppercut. And he caught him perfectly coming in. Not necessarily a hard punch, but a good punch, but he didn't see the punch. And the saying in boxing goes, a punch that hurts you is the punch you don't see.
Seemed to trip over his own feet as he fell backward. So not a stunning blow, but a knockdown for Linares.
Get that bone.
Round 6 begins. Harold, how do you have it through 5?
Okay, Jim. 50-44, 5 rounds to nothing. Jorge Linares. Jim, I got to tell you, it's amazing. He's the sharper, cleaner puncher. WrestleMora won them in round 3 for pushing off with that open left hand, and he went right back to doing it in the 3rd round. It's great. Just absolutely keeps him off with that open left hand, just like he did right there. Be as it may, Jorge Linares landing much harder, sharper shots, winning every round, shutting him out. 5-0, Linares.
And this despite the fact, Emmanuel, that as you keep asserting, you see energy from Juarez, you see a plan, you see him fighting well.
But I see Juarez back in that back for the first time. Linares has taken control over the fight and actually is making Rocky back away. I think the accumulation of the variety of punches and the just overall skill of Linares is starting to take its effect on Rocky now.
Here's a hard right hand by Juarez. He caught Linares at the end of a long punch. See if that'll lift Rocky's spirits a little bit and bring more energy. Now he starts going forward and stalking again. Up to that moment, he was, as Emmanuel Stewart pointed out, going backward in this round. Excellent jab, excellent left uppercut.
Linares must have really did his homework on fighting with Juarez. Juarez, coming from Houston, similar to Diaz, they both fight with their feet, head bent forward very much over the left foot, and they're very vulnerable for uppercuts. And I think he studied him very well. He'll box to a certain degree, and then he'll shoot the left uppercut.
Does former American Olympic coach Kenny Adams still work with Jorge Linares?
No, he did work with him, but I understand he's not working with him for this fight. He was with him most of the early part of his career.
He's another boxing source who has enormous enthusiasm about Linares and hasn't surrendered it despite the knockout loss last year. Well, other than the one right hand by Juarez, this is a dominating round for Linares. Linares keeping that right hand up to the side of his face in these exchanges to try to make certain that Juarez doesn't land a crushing left hook. A few minutes ago, Juan Manuel Marquez entered the arena. This will be his first appearance in the ring since September of last year when he was embarrassed against Floyd Mayweather. Of course, he was audaciously going up 12 pounds in weight from lightweight to welterweight to fight Mayweather. And the simple fact of the matter is he's still probably more a natural featherweight than a lightweight, despite the fact that he has become the champion of the lightweight division. So Mayweather was just too big, a fact he now acknowledges.
Too big and too good. And when you look at tonight, Jim, he barely made a little over the junior lightweight division. Just, I think, 3 pounds north of the junior lightweight. So which meant he natural size is he's not even a lightweight.
And at 37, and despite a lot of big fights and ring wars, he says, I'm as good as ever, and I'll prove it tonight against Diaz. Linares averaging 18 connected punches per round. Juarez averaging 7 connected punches per round as we bring you to the 7th. Harold Letterman so far has a shutout for Linares, and he did knock Juarez down in the 5th.
Go. No holding.
Linares steps back and once again lands that left uppercut. That has truly been the money punch in the arsenal of night.
I was just going to say that, Jim. Right now, Juarez have not been able to find any signature punch, so to say, in this fight, even though he's moving forward. Linares has had 2 signature punches, the jab and the left uppercut. He's been extremely effective and accurate with both of those punches.
Suerte, Linares.
When you teach uppercuts in the gym, Emmanuel, do most guys have a naturally stronger hand for the uppercut?
Yes, but the left uppercut is just in recent years has become very popular. It used to be everything was an uppercut was a right uppercut, either a left hook. But the left uppercut is a very effective punch because so many of the fighters today fight with their hands on the side of their face, leaving that big void through the center. And when you start a jab and then you change it up with a left uppercut with the same hand, it's very easy to hit a lot of fighters.
Some people have to square up to throw an uppercut. Linares can throw it from his natural boxing stance.
He throws it from the same stance and the same rhythm of throwing the jab. He jab, and he shoots a left uppercut just as easily. But I think he's really worked on that for this particular fighter, and it's very effective.
Hard right hand by Linares. Pot shot.
Yes, one of the first right hands that he's landed tonight.
So he mixes it in one more time.
That's another problem now that Juarez is going to have to worry about. If he didn't have enough problems with the jabs and left uppercuts, now sneaky right hand coming in.
And by the way, the best way to set up that left uppercut, land a right hand. Or throw the jab first and then bring it right behind it, as you pointed out earlier.
Linares is being put to a test tonight, though, even though I feel he's winning. But like I said, Rocky's fighting a very good fight, a lot of pressure. And you still got to watch out for Rocky's left hook. He never relax. As soon as they get close, you notice Linares puts that right hand right on the side of his face when he sees that Rocky gets in range to land a left hook.
Hard right hand again by Linares over the top.
Time.
7 rounds complete. Right now, the 140-pound weight class is one of the most populated in boxing. Stars like Timothy Bradley, Devin Alexander, Amir Khan, various others looking for prominence in that division. Golden Boy Promotions has a 140-pound prospect from East Los Angeles, American Frankie Gomez. Gomez is unbeaten early in his career. This was his appearance on the undercard. An easy one-round knockout of an outclassed opponent from northern Minnesota. And Gomez continues to polish his early career credentials on this undercard tonight.
1, 2, 3, step into him. He's not throwing his right hand. All he's going to do is throwing. Yeah, I will.
How are you feeling? Good, 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 good.
CombiBox numbers on power punches through round 7. Linares 61 of 107, 57%. Juarez 29 of 159, 18%. Of course, you only need to land one big one. And Juarez remains determined. But so far, Linares has more or less had his way in the fight. Belly shot there by Rocky Juarez.
Let go, let go. Don't pull his head down. Don't pull his head down. Suéltalo.
There's a hand speed difference, and Linares is using it.
You could look at it about the 9 punches. They were all from such a different variety of punches from different angles. And that's what's making it so difficult for Juarez to get a punch off. He has to start figuring out how to block those punches before he can punch back. What he's got to do, if he's going to win this fight, he's going to have to let punches go and quit being too intelligent, because he's systematically losing anyway. But he needs to let punches go. 2, 3, 4, 5 shots. He is a good puncher himself.
Crowd cheered as Juarez finally landed a right hand.
Watch your heads. Cuidado cabeza.
Juarez's face is beginning to show the effects of the large number of punches Linares is landing.
Yeah, the jabs and the left uppercuts.
But so far, the skin is held up. No cuts for either fighter.
There we go.
No big change in the fight so far. 8 rounds complete. Now here's a look at Linares' inside work. Juarez backing him toward the ropes. Left hook, left uppercut, straight right hand, in combination. And here's a punch zone look at where Linares' punches have been landing on Juarez through the 8th round. 30 body shots and 122 upstairs.
So you throw your combinations out there and do what you programmed to do, you're not going to fight. You almost have to knock the guy to win this darn fight, right? I'll be honest with you, and unless you do it, it's not going to work.
Beginning of round 9 of a scheduled 10. Harold, how do you have it through 8?
Okay, Jim. 8 runs to nothing. 80-71. Jorge Linares. Jim, the guy is winning every round with clean, effective shots. But, you know, he's really not a fan-friendly fighter. As skilled as he is, that running away constantly, that moving to the left all the time, you know, he doesn't bring on any crowd noise. They don't cheer for him because of the fact that he's constantly moving, you know, doesn't stand still. You only have to wonder how good he would be if he would step forward and shoot a hard right hand. I mean, I think he would be tremendous if he'd move forward once in a while. Be as it may, 8-0, Jorge Linares.
My view is he's taking no chances here, and he cannot afford to take any chances. He has to win this fight.
Yeah, Rocky is a very good puncher still, and I think that Linares may not be exactly the type of a fight that will get the fans excited, but I think he's fighting a perfect fight. And any lesser opponent than Rocky, he would have probably have knocked out by now with the shots he's landed.
And incidentally, we're into the pay-per-view card. We're 3 fights away from the main event. And while Harold may refer to the notion of a crowd, they're about 1/3 here. So if they wanted to boo Linares, he could just as soon turn around and boo them. Or boo the empty seats anyway.
Go.
Now, the people who are here deserve credit. They don't deserve to be booed, but the bottom line is there are a lot of empty seats.
Rocky has opportunities to punch a lot, but he gets to his opponents and he likes to wait till they punch before he punches, and that's his big mistake. And he should have learned that by now with all those long right hand right there. That's what he throw the shot off.
Crowd goes nuts as Juarez finally lands a long right hand.
But there's been opportunities for him to continue to be right there. He hesitates too much. He gets there and he bends into a little squat, and then he wants to punch. And he just let his punches go right away. Right there again.
2 sharp uppercuts from Linares in that sequence. Rocky's determination carried him through them, but Linares is still landing accurately when he tries to.
Both guys are in great condition.
Incidentally, you've got 2 very inexperienced judges judging this fight, along with true veteran Dave Moretti. If judges are looking for a courtesy round to give to Juarez, maybe this is it.
And if you check this, you'll probably find out that his punch output was better this round. It's really a simple case of him not punching. Good right hand.
And
that's the same shot that he could have done earlier, but he would get there and squat first and then try to punch.
As I said, if you're looking for a courtesy round for Juarez, the crowd endorses that one.
Last one.
Okay. Jorge. Adelante, la cabeza para adelante. Adelante para adelante. Jorge. ¿Qué pasó? Último round, Jorge.
Jorge, what's wrong? It's the last round. You good? Come on, I want to see your heart. Open up your mouth.
Jim, don't take nothing back to the dressing room. I want everything left out here. I want the combinations going 1-2. I want that goddamn hook went in there. The right hand, the uppercut. Water. I want everything going right. I don't want nothing left out of you. You understand? We work good damn hard for this.
Yeah, we see Juarez move in and throw a right hand over the same left jab that he was getting hit with all night, but he threw a punch this time, and the same thing happened again. It's simply the fact that he doesn't land punches because he doesn't throw punches.
CompuBox numbers entering the final round. Linares, by CompuBox count, has landed 169 of 480. Rocky Juarez, less than half of that. Only 71 landed punches out of 400 thrown. Harold Lederman gave the 9th round to Juarez, as I might have thought could be the case. And now here comes the 10th. You heard what Rayon Taveras said to Rocky Juarez: give me everything you've got. Don't bring anything back to the dressing room. And Linares' corner said, we want to see your heart. Let's see if Juarez can make him show his heart. 2 good jabs from Linares there. Still in command of the space. Good hard jab by Juarez there. Linares seems quite conscious of the fact that Rocky is getting closer and making better contact. The right hand lands for Juarez. Don't know whether Linares has gotten tired or his concentration has wavered. fighting his way off the ropes.
In front.
It would be very interesting to see if this fight was scheduled for 12 rounds. What would happen?
Jab by
What
Linares
would happen
there.
in the next 2 rounds?
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Especially seems that Juarez has found a way to land those right hands.
Yeah,
with the
he's
jab
making
now.
Linares uncomfortable, and Linares is showing the discomforts. But again, when Linares chooses to reestablish command of his punches and throw the jab, the uppercut, the right hand, he's landing them still. Like that. Well, I think we can be fairly certain of how Dave Moretti will have scored the bout. Not sure what we can expect from the judges we do not know. Al Lefkowitz and Ricardo Ocasio.
And at this stage, Juarez has landed probably about 75% of his right hands in the last round when he threw them.
Same kind of regularity incident that Linares seemed to have with his left hand most of the night.
Yep.
Rocky Juarez was an Olympic silver medalist in Sydney in 2000. He was a celebrated prospect coming into the sport as a featherweight. Has risen through the years up to lightweight. Has been documented several times. He's had 5 different chances to try to win title belts and has been 0-4-1 in those 5 bouts. The only draw was with Chris John last year on the undercard of Marquez Diaz. We mentioned the judges. Al Lefkowitz, no title fights. Dave Moretti, 114 title fights. He is the anchor veteran in this group. And the third judge, Ricardo Ocasio, no notable fights. Unknown quantities. So you never know when you're going to run across a judge who simply cannot score rounds for a guy going backward. It happens every once in a while. If this winds up being a split decision for Juarez, that'll be the reason. Michael Buffer has the scores in hand. Let's go to Michael Buffer and find out who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 exciting rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. Dave Moretti, 99-90. Al Lefkowitz, 97-92. Ricardo Ocasio, 99-90. All to the winner by unanimous decision. Jorge El Niño de Oro Linares.
So it is scored correctly, and Linares gets the unanimous decision victory that his performance in the fight seemed to merit. The CompuBox numbers show him landing 110 more punches than Juarez landed, throwing 69 more punches than Juarez threw, and doubling Juarez's connect percentage, 36% to 18%. In the jabs, completely dominated by Linares, 96 out of 358. 27% is a pretty good, decent jab landed percentage, and Juarez was 30 for 164. It's another blistering summer evening here in Las Vegas, where temperatures today reached well over 100 degrees. Still to come, former featherweight and 130-pound titleist Robert Guerrero takes on another 2-time division champion Joel Casamayor in a 140-pound matchup. And 23-year-old budding star Danny Jacobs fights for a middleweight title, which was absurdly vacated by the governing body, in only his 21st pro fight against Dmitry Pirog of Russia. Then our main event, the rematch between Juan Manuel Marquez and Juan Diaz. Their first contest, voted Fight of the Year in 2009, was a classic slugfest, which ended with a vicious Marquez uppercut in round 9. Now, a year and a half later, they meet again. Can Diaz, who started strong in the first fight, pace himself over 12 rounds? Or will Marquez's power and big fight experience prove too much once again? But first, let's take a look at our upcoming boxing calendar. Boxing After Dark returns next Saturday night from St. Louis, Missouri, as hometown favorite Devin Alexander defends his 140-pound title against Andreas Kotelnik. Also that night, light heavyweight title holder DeVorce Cloud faces ageless Glenn Johnson. 1 week later, World Championship Boxing travels to Montreal for another light heavyweight matchup as undefeated